Area 51.
Area 51.
Well, Area 51.
Area 51. Yes, that spot near Las Vegas.
Everybody's heard about it, everybody's talked about it, but we haven't heard much about Area 51 in a long time. And I don't understand why, because a lot has happened in the last few years. Things have changed, new information has come out, and somehow, Area 51 has gone quiet. So in this video, we're going back to Area 51, what's happened in recent years, what we've learned, and the mysteries that still remain. When a place is this secret, people naturally become curious, and over the years, plenty of people have tried to get as close to Area 51 as possible. And everyone remembers 2019, when that curiosity reached a completely different level. A Facebook event called Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop All of Us, went viral, with millions of people showing interest in actually showing up. When the day finally came, hundreds of people traveled to the Area 51 region, with some gathering near the gates. But despite all the hype, there was no serious mass attempt to actually storm the restricted base. But wait, I can already hear you thinking, why are we talking about something that happened almost 7 years ago in a video about what's been happening recently? Well, there's a reason.
Trespassers caught near Area 51, 2 men from the Netherlands arrested after getting 3 miles inside the Nevada National Security Site.
Just days before the planned event, 2 Dutch YouTubers traveled to Area 51, hoping to make a video. Their names were Thijs Granzier and Gover Sweep, and if their names don't sound familiar, you might remember these images. The 2 drove into restricted territory, despite warning signs, and were eventually stopped by authorities. Police reported finding cameras, a drone, and laptops in their car. At the time, the 2 said they hadn't intended to storm Area 51 and hadn't fully understood how serious the situation was. They were arrested, and the story quickly made international headlines. But last year, the 2 revealed details about what happened that hadn't been widely known at the time. Both boys made a video talking about what happened, and I said that, during the initial encounter, they removed an SD card from their camera, and Thijs hid it in his underwear, hoping authorities wouldn't confiscate the footage. They claimed Thijs was searched multiple times, including after being taken into custody, while still carrying the hidden SD card. But somehow, the police never found it. They managed to keep the SD card with them throughout their time in custody, and after they were released, they eventually deleted the footage because they wanted to distance themselves from everything that had happened. The 2 spent several days in jail, largely cut off from what was happening outside, until they suddenly saw themselves on television. That was when they began to realize just how big the story had become. Looking back on the incident years later, Thijs said they were lucky they hadn't been charged with espionage, claiming that if they had been, they could have still been trapped in the United States. Eventually, they were released after paying bail and later returned to the Netherlands. Their story became one of the most widely reported examples of YouTubers getting into serious trouble while trying to get close to Area 51. For decades, Area 51 has been surrounded by claims that the government knows more about UFOs than it admits. Bob Lazar famously claimed back in 1989 that he had worked near Area 51 on technology that he believed was not made by humans. His story has never been proven, but the idea that the government could be hiding information about UFOs has never really disappeared either, and recently, that conversation suddenly became relevant again. Earlier this year, former President Barack Obama was asked about aliens during a podcast interview. His answer immediately went viral. Obama said aliens are real, but also said he had never personally seen one, and that they were not being kept at Area 51. He later clarified what he meant. Because the universe is so enormous, he believes it's likely that life exists somewhere else, but during his presidency, he saw no evidence that extraterrestrials had ever made contact with Earth. Then Donald Trump got involved. Trump reacted to Obama's comments and suggested that Obama had talked about information he wasn't supposed to reveal. There is no evidence that Obama actually revealed anything classified, but shortly afterwards, Trump ordered the Pentagon and other government agencies to identify and release files connected to UFOs, UAPs, and extraterrestrial life. And this wasn't just another promise. The files actually started coming out. In May 2026, the government released a new collection of UAP reports and videos, with more material following afterwards, and some of these files are strange. One case describes a glowing, plasma-like sphere hovering above a pond for around 45 minutes. According to the released material, the object appeared to change shape and, at times, separate into smaller points of light. The footage was analyzed by the U.S. government, and the FBI described the person who reported the incident as highly credible. Another case involved reports of bright red spheres hovering in the sky, and another recently released case described mysterious objects as cold orbs, reportedly around 4 feet in diameter. Some of these cases have explanations, others remain unresolved, and that's important because unresolved does not mean alien. The Pentagon has repeatedly said that it has found no verified evidence of extraterrestrial technology or alien visitation. Many UAP sightings eventually turn out to be balloons, drones, aircraft, satellites, or other explainable objects, but not every case has been explained, and that's what makes these files so interesting. The US government is now openly releasing UFO footage, reports, and witness statements that most people probably never expected to see. Yet Area 51 itself remains almost completely silent. We know more about what the government is investigating in the sky than ever before, but we still know surprisingly little about what is happening inside the world's most famous secret military base today. And recently, getting a look at Area 51 became even harder. For decades, one of the best legal places to see the base was Tikaboo Peak, a mountain about 26 miles away from Groom Lake. It wasn't exactly close. You needed a long hike, clear weather, and binoculars, or a powerful camera just to make out details. But it was still one of the last public places where people could legally get a full view of Area 51 until 2026. In March, the U.S. Bureau of Land Management temporarily closed almost 23,000 acres of public land around Tikaboo Peak. The official reason was public safety, but for Area 51 watchers, the timing immediately raised questions, because this wasn't just some random piece of desert. This was the most famous public viewpoint of Area 51, and this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Back in 1995, the government also absorbed closer viewing spots known as Freedom Ridge and White Sides, leaving Tikaboo Peak as the best remaining option. The 2026 closure is officially described as temporary, for at least 1 year, or until the area is considered safe again. But some longtime Area 51 researchers believe the closure has more to do with security around the base than public safety. That part is not confirmed. What is confirmed is that, for now, the public has lost one of the clearest legal viewpoints of Area 51, and that naturally raises another question. Why make it even harder to watch the base now? And there's another recent development around Area 51 that's a little harder to explain. In September 2024, a new radio tower was built just inside the back gate of Area 51. According to longtime Area 51 observers, the tower began broadcasting on 99.9 FM, but it wasn't a normal radio station. What people reportedly heard was mostly synthetic, computer-generated sounding music, and the signal seemed to become active mainly during certain test missions. That immediately raised questions. Why would a highly classified military base suddenly start broadcasting strange music on a public FM frequency? Area 51 researchers believe the transmitter may be connected to testing new radar or electronic warfare systems. One theory is that the FM signal is being used as part of experiments involving passive radar, systems that can detect aircraft by analyzing existing radio signals instead of transmitting their own radar beam. But that explanation has never been officially confirmed. What we do know is that the tower exists. The 99.9 FM signal has been monitored, and observers have reported that it appears during certain missions around the test range, and it's not the only new infrastructure that has appeared. In 2025, observers photographed another large communications tower being built deeper inside Area 51, close to a newer data center area. Its exact purpose is still unknown, so while the public is now being pushed farther away from the base, Area 51 itself still appears to be expanding and upgrading. And then there are the people who still watch Area 51 from the outside. Rachel, Nevada is the closest small town to the base, and for decades, locals, photographers, and aviation enthusiasts have watched the skies around Groom Lake looking for unusual activity. Even today, those reports haven't completely stopped. In March 2026, one Area 51 watcher reported seeing a bright orb near the base on 2 separate nights. The sighting was later published by Dreamland Resort, one of the longest-running public Area 51 research communities, dreamlandresort.com. Other observers have reported strange lights, unusual nighttime aircraft activity, fighter jets, and occasional sonic booms around the wider Nevada test and training range. But even with everything we know today, some of the biggest Area 51 theories are still alive. One claims that much of Area 51 is actually underground, with secret tunnels, hangars, and facilities hidden beneath the desert. There is no solid public evidence proving that. Area 52, on the other hand, does exist, at least as a nickname for the Tonopah Test Range, another highly restricted military testing area in Nevada. And then there are theories claiming that some secret programs were moved elsewhere after Area 51 became too famous, with some even pointing to places as remote as Antarctica. Again, there's no credible evidence proving that, but maybe that's exactly why Area 51 is still so fascinating. We know it's active, we know things are still changing around the base, and we know the US government is revealing more about UAPs than it did for decades, but we still don't know what's happening behind those gates. So, what do you think is happening inside Area 51 today? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscription to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.